So you know how this works though, right? The reason why he wants the simple one-pager, because it's nice and sanitised. Most people could read it, they're not scared by it. It is, as he says, eloquent language. But then there's this other document, and I've got another copy of it here, that sits behind it. It's all the Uluru Statement, not just the front page. And that's the document that's got all the hooks in it, right? That gives you your Makarrata, your treaties with the Australian government. It's reparations based on GDP. Now, he can't disown that document because he needs to pretend it's just the one-pager, get it through past the people, slip it in, and then say, oh, I'm sorry, Australia, this is the full document. This is what we'll implement in full, as he says, time and time and time again. He's just been caught out that this has now been discovered before people vote. And this is why it matters, because it says, isn't it, Jacinta, it's got treaties in there. He doesn't want to talk about treaties, and it's got truth-telling. When you're out on the ground, what is the reaction from Australians about the issue of treaties?
A lot of Australians can't understand why we would go down this path of treaty with our own citizens. The concept of reparations is just, people are dumbfounded at the idea that non-Indigenous Australians should be paying some kind of compensation or reparations to those of us who are of Indigenous heritage for things that occurred in our history, 150, 200 years ago. Those of us alive today are not responsible for what occurred in the past, and those, there's no one around today who's 150 to 200 years old either. So people are sort of beside themselves, and they're also of the view that it's actually a huge distraction. It's not supporting our most marginalised Indigenous Australians, which is what they claim the Voice is about. It's a whole other agenda, and it's turning people off support for constitutional recognition, and of course, in the form of this voice.
I want to pick up some comments from Aboriginal leaders last night on Q&A, ABC program, of course. They were up at Garma. They were there running Q&A from Garma. This is Senator Malarndirri McCarthy, Labor Senator, Assistant Minister for Indigenous Australians. Have a listen.
Well, the Prime Minister said on the night, Dan, when we won the election, that we would follow through with the Uluru Statement from the heart in full, voice, treaty, truth.
That's the whole box and dice, isn't it, Jacinta?
That's it. That's it right there. I mean, one thing I'll take my hat off to Malarndirri to say is she told the truth right there on television for everybody to see. When we put the same question to in the Senate today that Senator Michaelia Cash put to Penny Wong, was to ask exactly those sorts of questions. Is it about the entire document, the 24 pages in support of treaty, reparations, all of those sorts of things? And Senator Wong could not provide any comment whatsoever other than to turn around and to attack former Prime Minister Scott Morrison and others and basically name call, saying that we as the coalition aren't supportive of Indigenous Australians when we are. So the Prime Minister needs to come clean to Australians. It appears, it appears as though he's misled Parliament on this matter, and if that's the case, he needs to correct that for the benefit of all Australians.
Can I ask you about a motion? I understand you're putting up something tomorrow in the Senate calling for an inquiry into Aboriginal land councils. Tell us why you're doing this and why you think it's so important that we have an inquiry here.
Well, this is really important. It's not just land councils, but it's statutory authorities like ORIC, like Office of Township Leasing, and organisations that receive federal funding to close the gap, if you like. I think it's important. I've always suggested that this is something we haven't done, is to determine whether these organisations are operating effectively, producing the outcomes they're supposed to be producing, actually representing the views and the needs of traditional owners, because I get a lot of traditional owners who come to me with their concerns that they're being ignored, sidelined, not respected, and written out of traditional owner status for various different reasons. There is a huge issue going on, and this is what we need to do to support our most marginalised, is sort out this huge mess that currently exists. So that is what my motion is about. Myself and Senator Karen Little, we've drafted the terms of reference, and it's really this is the work that the government should be doing.
Senator Price, I wish you well to get that up tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time.